Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring. This is episode 231, and this might just be the best episode ever. It is Monday, so we have Yikes of the Week for you, and Flashpoint Season 1 wrapped up just not that long ago, so we have our takes on the finals and just overall what we thought of the first inaugural season of the brand new league for CSGO. But before all that, let's tell you about Alt, because Alt is sponsoring the Center Ring, and let me tell you, they are the best clothing brand on the planet, in the universe, the galaxy, the cosmos, Anuj. You can't get enough Alt. I pretty much wear it every single day. It is soft. The print on the shirts don't go away after one wash. They are the test of times. I love them. You can check them out at Ultimate on Twitter, altesports.com. You can even buy our very own hoodie with them, the 101 Burglars hoodie. Completely original. If it sounds familiar, you're probably just thinking of something else, but it's definitely original. You can do all that at altesports.com.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Jordan Nothingill with Cloud9, and you're listening to TCR.
Okay, so let's start.
Hello, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another edition of The Center Ring, a.k.a. TCR, a.k.a. your favorite esports podcast. Again, this is episode 231, presented by Alt. Be sure and follow us on Twitter at The Center Ring, and our website, tcr.gg, has all the links to our Discord, our YouTube, everything there that you'll need to know. My name is Tim, and I will be your captain for this journey into esports, and alongside me, as always, is my best friend, my brown friend, is Anuj. What's up?
I think we're going to have to make peace with Peacemaker today, Tim.
Let's not jump the gun yet. I'm sure I could find something. We could find something to make fun of him about. But yeah, he found a way. He found a way. So we'll get to that momentarily when we talk about Flashpoint. But that could have an ESPN 30 for 30 just on his career alone.
That would actually be badass. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. No, so just wanted to get some show news before we get into Yikes of the Weeks. Thank you to everyone who stopped by our community night on Friday. Friday night, we hosted our very first, I think our first ever official community night. I mean, we always have people on here and there, and we'll jump into pugs and stuff, but this was like our first, told our wives, no excuses, we got to be on type of night.
We're going to be on for the next 3, 4, 5 hours.
Do not bother me.
Yeah.
Which is really what we could probably just rebrand it. Instead of community night, it's we told our wives we have to play night.
It was a lot of fun, man. I really enjoyed that. I'm glad we did that.
Yeah, so we got a full room of Valorant going on. Man, we played for like, what, 4 or 5 hours. We had a handful of listeners in there, ran 10 mans the whole time, mixed teams up to where it was fair. Sometimes it wasn't fair, but it was always fun. Tavik, a longtime dedicated listener, was a little penis bitch who played Raze, but that's okay because we love him. Anyways, we won't judge. We won't pass judgment on anyone who plays her, but Godspeed for when she gets nerfed. So, but it was still fun. It was still fun.
We had a really good time. I really, really enjoyed it, and we had listeners bring friends in, and it was just a good time, dude. Like it was just, you don't get to do tens often, right? Like we don't get to do that anymore. That was something we did a long time ago, like when we were younger in high school and had a ton of people to do that with. So it's cool to be able to kind of jump back into that and do that again.
My favorite part was Tavik posted a highlight of it in our Discord of him playing Raze, and this was like the third round of the night, and he gets an ace with her in the rope map. Do you know the names of the maps yet? I don't.
Haven.
Nope. I know it's not Haven. I know it's not.
It's the one
Haven.
with S, and it's not Bind. It's the third one.
It's the other one.
The third one is.
So I know Bind and I know Haven. It's the rope map. That's all I know of. And he gets an ace, but yet only sees three people because his stupid alt has a blast radius of the nuke. Like, it's ridiculous. So apparently they're nerfing that, though. So that will make me feel better. But no, yeah, it was a ton of fun. We're definitely going to do it again sometime soon. I personally I'm going to say I want to do it once a month where we have a dedicated night where we get on to run private rooms. Now, obviously, if you see us in Discord and you're going to play, hit us up because obviously we're always down to play if you see us on. But for a dedicated night, I want to say once a month.
That'd be awesome if we could, yeah.
Right. Sure. But I'm with, asterisks. Anuj is about to have a baby and I have a 7-month-old. So, we'll play around it. I think we can do it. It's just, it won't always be, oh, it's the third Friday. Like, let's do this, right?
Yeah.
That's just not how life works when you're an adult.
We'll plan it as we go. And, again, as long as we have even if only 10, 15 people make it out, that's fantastic. It's just fun. So
yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So thank you to everyone that showed up there. We had a blast. And you know what? Just as the game goes, more and more people are getting access. Kevin from ESPN just let us know, and before the show started, he recently got access. So Kevin, you can be a part of the next one as soon as you get your servers fixed.
He could have an episode on just. I want to know what this whole. We should interview him because I want to know what this whole ordeal has been like for somebody that's been waiting for like 2 weeks now.
He's waited
to play a game that
just got his key. Finally, just got his key,
and now he's got EU access only.
His
so he's
account
playing
is bugged for EU. Yikes!
So I feel like that's almost like interview worthy during this time. Like I would love to know the frustrations of a man.
So yep. So he's bearing that cross, so we don't have to. So we appreciate that. But yeah. So just keep an eye on the Discord, on our Twitter. We'll let you guys know. Other show news here is we've been talking about it for a long time, but while esports is somewhat on a slow period with seasons ending, things like that, we figured it might be a fun time to do something a little different for us, and that's looking at older, or really just any esports documentaries that we can find, and try to talk about them and review them on the show. So the one that was recommended to me by a handful of listeners, Anuj, it's called The Smash Brothers. Now, I found it on YouTube. They split it. I don't know if this is how it normally is. They split it up between 9 episodes.
Okay.
So if you want, we can watch 1 through 4 and talk about that on Wednesday, and then the remaining 5 and just get it done in 2 episodes if you want.
And each episode's like 20 minutes long, roughly?
It's about 30 minutes, yeah. So if we just do it Wednesday and Wednesday, right?
Yeah, that gives enough time. I'd be down.
Okay.
I have plenty of time. I can turn that on at any point.
We could review 3 episodes each time, but that runs the risk of if it's boring or sucks, we're stretching this out for 3 weeks. So
we have no interest in it. At least we can get it over with.
If this does suck, we can at least get it over with.
That's a good safety net. So
again, this was like, even Googling is like #1 most recommended esports documentary. So if it does suck,
fascinated with that community.
Yes. So if it does suck, we're in a hurt of trouble when it comes to documentaries in esports. So I know Valve does free to play, but that's like about Dota and the TI, and I'd rather just wait. Maybe we do that closer to the TI. A lot of people said that was good, so maybe we just wait.
There's only one free to play I follow, Tim.
That's right. Free to play podcast or radio show. Excuse me. Don't let me sell you short there, Kevin. So that's something we'll do there. So that's your homework as a listener. This Wednesday, episodes 1 through 4 for the Smash Brothers. I'll put the link in our Discord and tweet it out just so you know the one I'm looking at. But it's, like I said, the one I found, it's like a playlist of like 9 episodes that they split up. So,
speaking of documentaries, The Last Dance comes out tonight. The Michael Jordan documentary. That's like a 9-part.
I see a lot of buzz on that. I don't.
Oh man, I'm so fascinated by it. Like I'll be running from this show to that show.
A lot of people are pumped for it. I'll catch it at some point in time.
Yeah, it's pretty good in the sense of having full access of one of the greatest players. Yeah. It's gonna be neat.
The only Michael Jordan documentary I care about is Space Jam.
Get out of here.
That's the only documentary I need for Michael Jordan. Captures his entire career. Yeah, no, I have heard though. That's a lot of buzz, and I feel like there's been a few others for ESPN or for esports. But yeah, I'm waiting to the point where we get like ESPN style of documentary, like 30 for 30, or this type of buzz about something. Not just like your normal, like, oh, we're following this team around, a day in the life or something like, like I want like a real. I don't need
It'll
to see the
happen.
same
I mean,
care
now as it grows and like how content creation has also
Right.
grown, we're capturing more moments. Like it's easier to build
Because like
stories.
also like right now, what I've learned, Anuj, is like the average esports professional's life is very cliche. Like all of them, because Counter-Strike does this thing. Sometimes they'll do it where it's like showing you a sneak peek of a player's life, right? And they'll talk to old friends and family members, like the Kerrigan one we saw for ESL, which they ran every commercial break for the entire season, and people were ready to kill themselves when they saw it. Like, we get it. They were an athlete at one point in time. They got hurt, and then they saw Counter-Strike, and man, they just played differently. Oh, they just always wanted to win. Oh, man. Okay. Thank you. Like if I go into this Michael Jordan documentary and the first thing they say, oh, Michael was different, man. He just always wanted to win, even at a young age. Like, that's great. Like, that's so generic. Please give me more. Like,
he wanted to be the best. Well,
yeah.
Okay.
He tried harder. He tried harder than everyone around him. Like, okay, can we have any more cliches, please? So, but either way, that's what we're doing for Wednesday's show. So the Smash Brothers, I'll tweet it, I'll post it on Discord, but that's what you need to do as a listener if you want to follow along. Episodes 1 through 4, the Smash Brothers, we're watching it. This also came out though, I think like when Melee. Like I think this is like almost like a 5-year-old documentary, so it should be pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, should be pretty good. So that being said, though, it's everyone's favorite time of the week. It is for the yikes of the week, and we have a handful of them, Nuge. I will start. I will do the honors this week and start as our first yikes. Is it our first yikes for Valorant? I feel like we already had them once.
Raze should have been a yikes. So if we haven't talked about her as a yikes, then
I think I had the yikes for how they handled the beta initially. Either way, this yikes of the week goes to Valorant because Mixwell, beloved Mixwell of Counter-Strike, Mixwell always get the short end of the stick. Well, Nuge, it just seems like he's getting the short end of the stick before his career even starts in Valorant. Rumored to be going to G2 per sources, a.k.a. Anuj. Anuj says he's going to G2. He has now been banned, falsely banned in Valorant for plugging in his phone.
That's crazy, man. Like that's I saw I don't know if you've seen the VOD or not.
Oh, I did. Like he was talking, looking into the camera, said I gotta charge my phone or whatever he said, plugged his phone into the computer, boom, insta banned on stream. Now the reason this is the case, and this is also a hot topic to everyone, is because Riot's anti-cheat, the Vanguard is what they're calling it, is all, everyone knows it's files on your computer. And so that's how they're reading it. They're supposedly running all the time. Even when you start up your computer, this is scanning files.
It's basically embedded into your computer at a level of access that's even higher than the computer administrator. Okay, so you're giving it full access to your PC. It does run 24/7, and it has the ability to do anything if somebody wanted to use it for the purpose of illegal activity, right? So the fear here is they're owned by Tencent, and Chinese company, and you just know how this stuff can be.
No, I'm sure nothing bad will happen.
So
nothing ever will happen.
Yeah, and so that is a huge yikes to even tie onto that for what's going, like how it's got to be one or the other, right? If they're doing what they're doing, it takes out the cheaters for the most part,
right?
Fairly quickly. If they take it back, are you willing to suffer with what the game could be then?
Yeah. And so the issue that happened with Mixwell is that when he plugged in the phone, it registered it as a foreign device and then killed it off. This is not the first time this has happened. I know back in the day with WoW, it used to be a big issue, Anuj. I don't even know if they make these anymore. But Logitech used to have like the smart keyboard. Do you remember these? where they had like a little LCD monitor on the keyboard that showed
It
you
would
stats.
give you the stats and all that. Yeah, I had one. It was an old G Pro keyboard. Yep, and it was like right there telling you health and things like that.
So this was an issue at one point in time in WoW, at least, because Blizzard's anti-cheat would read it as, oh, there's a foreign device trying to get into the files of the game to read this information. It must be trying to alter it. Boom, your account's banned for hacking. So this has happened before with these anti-cheats. So that's not necessarily a yike. I think that's just like part of it. Look, you want an anti-cheat, sometimes it's not 100%, right? You're going to get false flags, and then they'll deal with them. The issue is, I think here is, yes, if you're asking for 100% access to my PC, then you better have this be flawless.
Yeah, I mean, the false ban for him is okay because you know he's going to be able to get it reversed relatively quick, although he still had to wait, I think, like 24 hours or something before it came back for him. But the issue is, imagine the number of people that did get hit with false bans, how long it's probably taking for them to get it back.
And the fact that you were still seeing hackers in the beta. So it's like,
so the thing is, it doesn't prevent the hacker from entering the game. It catches the hack very quickly. So it's very reactive to, like, yes, you might see clips and videos of somebody cheating, but those individuals are usually banned within like, if not like a 3 to 4 hour window, at least 24 hours. So like, it's an unprecedented level of access that they're getting. It's way beyond VAC, way beyond Blizzard. You're literally giving it 100% access. So again, there's a trade-off there. You're trusting them with being able to do that, but at the same time, you know, you're playing a game where most likely nobody is cheating.
Yeah. So thoughts and prayers to anyone who plugged in their phone while playing Valorant. Hopefully you get your account back. Anuj, what is your yikes?
We are actually keeping it in Valorant, Tim. That's a double whammy for him. But this is more related to... esport. This is away from the actual game itself. This is pertaining to ESPN's Esport Valorant Invitational. Just the next of many. I don't even know how many we've seen. We've had, what, the T1, the 100 Thieves, the
Twitch Rivals.
Greyhound. There's so many. There's like...
I feel like we need to do our own here soon.
So we have the ESPN Valorant Invitational. Now, what I will give them credit for, by the way, this is April 20th to the 23rd, so coming up tomorrow.
420, blaze it.
I think it's a badass format, Tim. I will give them that. I love the format that they're doing. For those of you that are not aware, it's basically building a competitive team from each of the big esport contenders. So CSGO has a team that's consisting of basically the T1 team with Hiko, Schwag and AZK, including Hiko,
the same team that has been dominating every other invitational.
Yeah. Fortnite has a team. League of Legends, PUBG, Rainbow Six, Apex, Tim. Apex got an invite to this thing. Valorant devs, Overwatch teams. I'm missing one here. Who am I missing?
Paladins.
Paladins does not have a team, unfortunately. But either do our friends over at Call of Duty. They did not get invited to this. I know people will say, well, hey, they're console players, but they're one of the only true FPSs games like in a competitive level. And mind you, I know there are 5 very skilled mouse and keyboard players that they could have put together from these guys. These guys are not just good at consoles. They're like very good gamers. Clayster and these guys play a lot on stream with mouse and keyboard. So I think that's a big yikes to leave them out, especially when it's touted as like all of the big esports. I would have loved to see Call of Duty get a slot in there. I mean, I want to be an advocate for them because they do get, like, in my mind, shit on a decent amount, right? Like, one of the lone standing console esports left. And
look, this is just showing that the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree when it comes to ESPN esports and ESPN, big dog ESPN, because ESPN National does the same crap like this all the time, where they'll include the best sports ever, right? Or moments. 99% of it's from football. They'll throw in a WNBA highlight in there to say they included them. and then they'll forget something like very obvious, like a hockey highlight or, a lesser popular sport or whatever like that. This is, to me, is no. How are you gonna say? And like even on their tweet was like, there's been the biggest ambitious event crossover in esports history. First off, don't call it an esports event when Fortnite's involved, because we all know that's not an esport. But then PUBG, like what a random like scene to pull from.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense it's mouse and keyboard, and at least they're in a shooting game, right? So
Apex,
they're all going to be
half of those are
aimers.
going to be Valorant Pro soon, anyways. Apex,
Most of them probably are. It's probably like Ace and these guys.
Half the people who play Apex professionally are now dropping the game for Valorant, anyways. So
yeah. I mean, at least with PUBG again, they're all going to be incredible aimers that are playing that game for the most part.
League, they obviously did it for the views, right? There's no reason.
Well, why would you leave them out in this situation? It's Riot's game.
But I guess my point is, it's like you're saying, is clearly this is geared towards FPS. I could see that argument if they included any other non-shooter game in here, but literally every other. I mean, Fortnite's not an FPS, but it's a shooter, right? It's if you have to draw a line, it goes on the side of shooter. No Dota, no fighting game people, nothing.
Yeah, no fighting game. And that might make a little bit more sense than, I mean, Call of Duty to me is like a person that should have been drafted in the top 5 that got picked at like 28. Like they fell way too far off of this list. Some of those I can make reasoning for. But again, as a whole, I think it's going to be a really cool event, honestly. I'm excited to see it. I will watch it. Even for League of Legends to see double lift playing, it'll be fun. The Valorant devs being included, those guys are obviously very talented. So I think it'll be a mix of like some good gameplay and just like fun to watch entertainment. So I'm excited for it.
I might dabble in it. I'm a little over invitationals at this point with Valorant.
Yeah.
I feel like they jumped on it really quick. Really quick.
We got a long way to go, man.
I know.
We got a long way to go. This is going to be in beta for what, the next 3+ months?
I know I make fun of people for signing players in beta, but at this point, if we could just get an actual team season or match tournament going with actual teams, I would appreciate it. Because everyone and their mother I'm telling you, I think that's what we need to do, Anuj. We need to do our own TCR Invitational.
Should have done it this past weekend. Maybe that's the next like community night is a TCR Invitational, and you bring teams.
TCR Pro-Am. I think we can make
That'd
it
be
happen.
fun.
All right, so my next Yikes of the Week and the last Yikes of the Week here will be a segue into Flashpoint for you, Anuj. This Yikes of the Week goes to me because I made the worst mistake a viewer could while watching Counter-Strike. It was map 3 of MIBR versus Mad Lions. The score line was 12-3. They were going into half. My wife said, "Hey, is this almost done? Let's take our son out for a walk." And I was like, it's 12-3. This bitch is done. Let's just go for a walk. I'll watch the highlights later. Lo and behold, I get my phone's blowing up from you saying like, "Oh my God, I think MIBR is going to blow it." Oh my God, they're blowing it. And then just LOL. And then I go on Twitter, everyone's blowing it up. And I was like, you have got to be kidding me. How did Mad Lions bring this back? So we'll talk about it. But I just want to say that's my bad. My bad. I never leave the game early.
No, you really not in a championship match. If you've done this like quarterfinals or something,
right? I was that
no
guy
big deal.
who went home in the 7th inning of the World Series, and his team came back. I'm that guy. So that's a yikes on me. That's my bad. Let me make the mistake so you don't have to. In the championship game, don't ever, even if it's 12-3 going into half, don't turn it off or don't take.
I appreciate you owning up to it. That's important, Tim.
Yeah,
shows the type of man you are.
Unbelievable. So let's talk about that though, because so let's talk about this particular match. I want to focus in on the finals of Flashpoint, and then we can talk about Flashpoint Season 1 in general. Because that's kind of what I'm even more curious to just have our thoughts on that. Because I know we talked a little bit about ESL and that, but we've kind of been there, done that. Flashpoint's been brand new and drama surrounding it all the time. So I want to talk about that. But first, let's focus in on this match. So, of course, this was the finals between MIBR and Mad Lions. Thank God Havu wasn't in there, or this would have been no offense, Havu. No offense at all. I don't want to see you in the finals. Right? Can we all agree on that?
I mean, yeah, this was the best matchup we could have gotten in that situation. But not the best, not the matchup I was hoping for, regardless.
No, not going into the season at all. No, not at all. But either way, so you did have MIBR versus Mad Lions. MIBR was one of the favorites going into the season. Mad Lions, when the season started, was relatively unknown. And I'd almost dare to say still unknown as far as like talent and where they stand in the big picture.
They had just performed well in the qualifiers prior to the season starting. So they started getting notoriety because they had done so well in the Rio qualifiers. And so there was some awareness around them. And when we were originally talking about them in this league, it was like, well, that was a good like throw-in team, right? Like they're going to get some really big teams like Astralis and all these guys. And Mad Lions is like a great team to add on along with these big boys. Now they turned out to be one of the better teams in the league based on how it all shaped out even preseason, I think. Mm-hmm. Maybe not the favorite to win it all, but they were looked at as one of the good teams in the league.
Yeah. And so, long story short, they ended up winning the whole thing. Anuja's joke at the start was with Peacemaker. Peacemaker is the head coach of Mad Lions, so we'll just come out and say it. I won't even say our bad, because I still think... Look, Peacemaker has somehow made this career of being the traveling salesman as a coach. He ticks off the boxes for being the worst coach and the best coach all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
100%. He is tactically, you would say, one of the best in the game. You know, knowledge of the game, check. One of the best in the game. But I want my head coach to like be my head coach, you know, for like an extended period of time. And for whatever reason, he is, and he's had different reasons. Like there have been some legitimacy to some of these moves and others not so much, but he has bounced around so much. He's been successful at a lot of his stops, and this is just another notch on the belt for him. I mean, what a big win for Mad Lions. I mean, this is $500,000 that this team was, again, still a relatively unknown, although getting some notoriety heading into this. Like, this is a team that also was early in the year judged harshly for making the move that they made, right? They let go of Hunden and picked up Asilian, and Asilian ended up, in my mind, being the hero of Game 3. For them, had an amazing Game 3 on Train. For them, I think he put up 30 frags, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And so they were a team that was struggling at the beginning part of this league, made a major move. I mean, an IGL level move here, and came out winning it. Like, this is, this is a Cinderella story for them, right? Although not happening in ESL, but still, like, this is the second best league in the biggest esport in the world, pretty much, and they came out a winner. So, still fantastic.
Yeah, I go back and forth on this all the time of like, well, they won, but it's not ESL, right? Or it's not like the best league, but it's the league they're in, right?
Yeah.
And this is a league with top teams, not as high ranked as ESL, but still, like, this was the league they were in. They competed just like any other team in the league, and they had every excuse in this finals just to accept second place. You're up against MIBR, a veteran team, one that is viewed to be the favorite going in, not only to this finals, but again into the league. Game 1 was a complete shit show where Mad Lions were up 4, very convincing first 4 rounds, and then all of a sudden, whole timeout, we're having ping issues. Apparently, I think I heard Moses say this. I had a screaming baby next to me while watching it, so forgive me. But I think MIBR was getting DDoSed. like the house that they were in was getting DDoS, so they had to move. Like they just said, all right, we're moving IP addresses completely. So they went to a different location.
Oh, geez. I didn't know that's what happened.
Yeah. I think that's what Moses was saying in one of the breaks. So that resulted, Anuj, and no joke, like a 30-minute tech break, because obviously they had to get all their stuff and go to a different location to...
I mean, if that's all it was, though, considering that's what they had to do, then that's not that bad. That's a long tech break in general.
Right.
But if those were the circumstances that they were dealing with, everybody is going to give them a little bit of a... You're going to get a pass for that situation.
Yeah.
What are you supposed to do?
Well, it's one of those, it's an online event. It happens. But in Mad Lions' case, though, it's like for a not as veteran team as MIBR, they have been together as long. They haven't been in finals on this level ever. So I think, though, like they had all the excuses to be like, we're rattled, or that break kind of threw us off. MIBR supposedly has their veteran leadership and Fallen. Mad Lions, to me, actually performed very well. Now, I will say this to MIBR fans and to the people on Twitter, and I'm talking about Thorin, I'm talking about Moses, I'm talking about Anders. All while watching this, all I kept hearing was, MIBR is back, Fallen is back. Man, what an amazing performance. This was like after map 1, of course. And in my head, I'm thinking, what are they watching that I'm not watching? Because what are we talking about? MIBR is back. Fallen is back. Do we forget, Anuj, where they were? Like, to say they're back? What are they back as like being major contenders?
No, yeah, I don't think that's the level of back that anyone could be comparing it to, because that's like an Astralis level back.
And that's where,
right?
I will say, this, you got to remember that this is Flashpoint and not ESL, right? Like, you can't, because I don't even know if Mad Lions is a major contender, right? Like, are they going to...
Who's the highest ranked team in this league?
Well, right now it's Mad Lions.
And that's like, I mean, ranked at number 12 in the world. Like, that's a really
13th.
high ranking.
13th.
Okay, so they drop. I guess they must have dropped when I'm looking at HLTV right now.
Well,
I mean,
I
even
got refreshed. Maybe they went up from the one.
The overall teams here are all like pretty much top 50 teams that they're competing against. But I think for MIBR, this is a pretty devastating loss in my mind. Not only because of the fact that they just lost in general, right? Losing in the championship is always going to be gut-wrenching. And the fashion they did it in, right? Like on Train, they had such a demanding lead. It's the reason, you left that match. Being up 12-3, they had opportunities to even close it out on the T side. Like they had several chances on the T side with people diffusing in smokes. I think that happened like 2 or 3 times. Playing terrible post-plant position. Like they really should have won this because of their experience. A lot of these players have been in some of the biggest moments in Counter-Strike history, and they've played in so many big matches. They should understand the situation better, because some of these mistakes were by Fallen, missing a couple of shots there. Obviously, Fur not checking, like Pop Dog on Train. Like it was just like little mistakes that these guys were making at the end that cost them, because they were good enough to win this season, and they let it slip through their hands there in the last like 8-9 rounds. And man, I mean, Mad Lions definitely took advantage of it. It showed why they have the ranking they do, because if you're going to make mistakes, you have to be able to capitalize on them, and a good team can do that. And they overcame what must have been a very tilting first half. I mean, I can't imagine what was going on their side during that first half of that map. Just knowing how it's all falling apart, and they pulled it back. And
I mean, knowing that you could afford. I mean, you really at the start of the half. I mean, I know they lost 1 in the in the second half of Train, but realistically, they lost that 1 at the only moment they could lose, because of course their second half was on CT, which we already know is completely, like, the economy there is such a mess anyways with the way that they have it. They are lucky, Anuj, that the one that they lost was on the 5th round. Because had it been any earlier where it like shattered their economy, like thankfully most of them had enough built up to where they could still, continue buying and reinvest.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
God, could you imagine if that was like the third round and it messed up
Yeah.
their economy and they had to save? Like,
You're all of a sudden going into a save and then like maybe a partial buy in the next round.
mhm.
It becomes pretty brutal there for a handful of rounds. So yeah, I mean, it took perfection almost on their CT side to pull off what they did. And look, I mean, they're going to keep the highest ranking. This is better, I think, for in the sense of this is really good for Flashpoint because they did show like getting Mad Lions into this league was a really good decision. I'm sure they had the opportunity to go either way. Um, and then if they can keep this trajectory, then they can become one of the elite teams in this league, and it makes the league better for them. MIBR's fan base is not going anywhere,
No.
right? So
Well, I
you're
mean, even
pulling
hell,
in
they
people
were
that are
watching it. I think the stream for Flashpoint averaged about like 46,000 viewers, like give or take. But then did you see the Brazilian stream?
was it the
Like,
Brazilian was it Gauls
I don't know
streaming
who,
it?
but it had like 130,000 viewers. Like the
Yeah,
Brazilian stream was unreal. I can't imagine. Man, I wish I knew it though, because I just love me some sad Brazilians. But to see, like, because I mean, they're such a rampant, a rabid fan base where God love them, right? You wish every fan base was like that, but at the same time, it's so fun seeing them lose. This is why
it gets to your core when they win.
This is
and
why
then
I hated LG and SK. MIBR has kind of always sucked since they went to MIBR, so it's hard to hate on them as much. But man, SK and LG when they were good, oh boy, did I hate that team. I hated
you
them.
also being a Cloud9 person
Yes.
made like really amplified.
Oh, I
that
hated the
hatred.
fans. I hated
Yeah.
everything about Brazilian Counter-Strike back then. So I still get somewhat enjoyment out of it. Speaking of like there with Fallen, I know you mentioned it, and a lot of people like after map 1, he did really well. Map 1, he got 26. He was 26 and 14. Average ADR or ADR was 85. I mean, he played well.
Yeah.
But then on the second map, Inferno, which I think was whose pick was Inferno? Do you
I
remember?
actually do not know.
I can pull it up here. If it's not on this page. MIBR, I think it was MIBR's, right? Because that was like the crazy thing. Yeah. So MIBR picked Inferno, which is kind of surprising because they've been kind of poor on it as of late. So that's kind of like where they're saying like, oh, maybe they wanted that one back, even though that was 16-13. I don't think you can really hang your head.
I mean,
I guess
all 3 games were close. All 3 games were 16-13.
yeah, but I'm just saying like the analysts afterwards were saying like, oh, now that's one where MIBR is going to regret picking. I mean, you went 16-13. I don't know how, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't really hang your head on that one when you're like, oh, that was a dumb map pick. It was a good game. It was close. Either way, Fallen on that map though, abysmal. 7-20, ADR of 33.
I mean, 33 is the really concerning number there, right? The 7-20, hey, look, that can happen.
Someone's got a bottom frag. Okay.
Yeah, somebody's gonna have a tough game from time to time. Like it's.
But
not,
now let's play the fun game. Could you get more than 33 ADR if you were in this match?
I think a lot of people could. I mean, I think that's a really bad game. That's like a really, really bad game. Like I think most competitive, like highly competitive CS people. If you're asking about me in particular, shit, I don't know, dude. These guys are incredible. But yes, I'm gonna 100% say I would have at least a 75 with a 2-to-1 KD ratio. Eyes closed, and it wouldn't be a problem. But for Fallen to have 33, I mean, that's like lack of utility damage, positioning. You're getting picked early in rounds. So really that's what it comes down to is you're probably dying a lot early because you don't have an opportunity to do damage. If you're dying early, you're putting your team in tough situations. And so for him, tough game. I thought he actually played good on Train too, though. On Train, especially CT side, he was dominant. He was very aggressive with the op. He had no fear peeking into like Ivy. He looked like the Fallen of old in my mind in that first half of Train. Second half, a little bit of a different story. Like he still in my mind had an overall good game, 22 and 18, 86 ADR. Like it's nothing to hold your head down on. But he lost a little bit of that aggressiveness, and you could see that they just lost some of their focus. I really think they thought they just won after the first half. I almost feel like it was somewhat of a celebration that this is a given
I mean,
that
I
we
got
are going
up,
to
I
win
turned it
this.
off.
Um,
I went to
yeah,
go. I had to go do some things before the show.
and again, that's the most disappointing part is they're just such a veteran team that should not happen to a team like that. But that's really what it felt like is they just lost some concentration because first half, Fur and Fallen were a very dynamic duo. I mean, Fur still dropped 30. He put up 30 and 19 with the 95 ADR. So I mean, still came out with an amazing game, but both of them in the first half combined were nearly unstoppable. And for whatever reason, that didn't continue on in the second half.
Another impressive thing I think for on Train, of course, Train is the map, right? That was the match in itself. The other impressive thing to me that Mad Lions did on their CT side of Train, the second half, is they defused the bomb 6 times. Meaning,
3 of those were ninjas.
Yeah.
Literally, they were ninja diffuses.
MIBR had the map. They had the round 6 times. Realistically, if you get the bomb down, you stand a chance, right? I think that's the old coach, the football coach, saying if you can get your hand on the ball, you should be able to catch it, right? If you've played football,
you've all heard that.
Yes,
you've all heard that.
Yeah, if you've played football, you've heard that. If you can touch the ball, you should be able to catch it. This is the same thing in my eyes with Counter-Strike, is that if you get the bomb down, you're like a 90% chance that you should probably win that game.
Assuming you're in a situation where it's like a 3v3 or 4v4 or 5v5
unless it was like
or
a
whatever,
desperate,
right?
like, hey, just put it down for money. But nonetheless.
Yeah, no, agreed. Like you're getting the bomb down. Again, a handful of those were ninja diffusions, and they were terrible. I mean, they were just Myron was kind of left alone and didn't know where it was planted exactly, and that wasn't on him because really there were several plays before his missed shot that cost them that round. I think same thing happened with Fallen one time that he just awareness to where the bomb was, but this is going to be a tough one to swallow for MIBR because I think this would have been a nice buffer for them headed into like what we're going to be dealing with the Rio qualifiers again. And you wonder if this will linger a little bit because we've seen MIBR lose to subpar competition, right? And I'm not talking about Mad Lions. I'm just saying in general, we've seen them lose to some subpar competition. I want to see how this affects them, leading into the qualifiers. Like, are they going to be able to put it together and come through?
Well, and 2, we haven't even, one thing that escaped my mind with MIBR and you bringing up how, like, mentally, how will this affect them? They just got rid of their coach in Zeus, which was like kind of your mental steroid, right? Like if you were down, if you needed someone to rally you up, Zeus was going to be that guy. They just got rid of him. So now going into it, like, I know some people what was funny, I don't know if this won't happen now, but some people are saying that, oh, maybe they can go get Peacemaker, right? If Mad Lions loses or things like that. Well, obviously that probably won't be the case. I can't imagine, but Peacemaker's Brazilian.
Don't ever doubt what Peacemaker's capable of doing.
Never doubt Peacemaker and never doubt the power of being Brazil, wanting to go play for the Brazilian team, regardless of.
That's only if Peacemaker believes that lineup has the ability to do better than they're doing. Like for Zeus, it'll be more telling to see how does how does Evil Geniuses do, right? Like does EG elevate themselves more? I'm looking at more of that than does MIBR kind of fall off. I think MIBR potential wise, I don't know how much more I'm like expecting of them at this point, right? You talked about the time of SK and LG, like that's so long ago. There are so many fans, talking about documentaries, there's so many fans that don't know about old Nip, old Fnatic, old SK, like people that have come into the game just in the past 2 years or so don't know any of these legendary teams. I mean, it's been that long for SK where it's like it's in the past. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like something that
Well,
you
and that's
will
why I said, like,
achieve
when
again.
people are saying, like, MIBR is back, Brazilian Counter-Strike is back, Fallen is back, what's your starting point here, just so I know what you're thinking? Are we thinking SK level? Are we thinking LG level?
Your level of fandom, no, that's not the right statement. But for like relatively newer fans, like, oh yeah, hey, maybe they can be as good as they were just a couple years ago.
Not
You
even
know,
then, right? It's like when they had Tarek or something. Like, I just feel like they've never really been there to be back when they've been
I think when they
MIBR.
had like Phelps for a little bit, they were like sitting in top 10 pretty consistently, top 6, top 10 range. But then, yeah, I mean, it felt like once they mixed that NA.
And it almost seems like they're like the skill I think is there. It almost just seems like it's the mentals at this point, right? It's in between the ears that are getting in their way more than anything. The skill I think is there because like we even saw flashes of it today. Like KNG looked really well to me. Taco looked good. Fallen had his moments. Obviously, that second map he was non-existent, but there were moments where they looked good, and it just took them getting.
Unfortunately, the non-Brazilian had a tough best of 3. Myron, he had a tough time kind of throughout the series. Had an average of 55 ADR for this series.
So what you're saying is he'll be off the team here because that's how
at
they work.
any point, yeah, anytime soon. No, he's actually performed really well recently for them. So
He
just
top
a
fragged
bad series
Inferno, but
for him.
every other map he bottom fragged in. So yeah, we'll see what happens with MIBR now that we're going into, I guess, kind of major qualifier mindset, right?
Yeah, got to reset. I mean, we probably need to dive back into that at some point just to let people know, like, hey, this is what you're about to watch. Like, this is what you're watching. Because I do find it to be a little confusing for the average person that's not like a diehard of CS to keep up with necessarily what's going on and all this stuff. So I think it's probably worth diving back into it at some point soon.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to look at it because, like I said, I know now it's like you have tournaments that are popping up that hold value towards the major and everything there. So we'll have to just keep an eye on it. Maybe hit that up on a
Yeah.
future episode where there's not a whole lot going on. But other than that, like I said, it was an exciting match because of map 3. Apart from that, there really wasn't a whole lot of drama. What did you think of the trophy? That was kind of honestly, before the comeback, that was kind of the big talk of it.
It was kind of cool. Like, I think it's kind of cool. Like, it's not, you know, the best thing in the world, but I thought it was a cool looking trophy. Like, it's a red AK. Like, who wouldn't want that as a trophy? It's very fitting of the game of Counter Strike, and hell, it's even more fitting now that the Krieg has been nerfed. So it's a gun that's back and relevant again. Yeah, it was a cool trophy. I mean, I didn't think much
Yeah,
more than that.
I'm a classical kind of guy myself. I like the plate. I like the cup. I don't like the prop trophy. I thought the MLG major trophy was the most hideous thing known to man. That was the one with like they put the karambit knives on the trophy. It looked awful. I hate. Look, esports is great. They're not great at making trophies, but this one at least looked cool. For a trophy, I don't know, but it'll look cool.
Well, it's a neat one to have on your showpiece, right? Because if you start to get all these different just cup style trophies, it's all kind of the same. So to
Yeah.
have one here and there, I think Blast Pro also has a cool looking trophy. Personally, it's that broken triangle
Pyramid.
thing that they
ESL
have.
this season has, I think, a clean looking trophy. The black and gold.
ESL's looks like the World Cup trophy to me, almost to a
Yeah.
certain extent, kind of like the flow and the shape of it. ESL does a good job with their trophies. They're very traditional for the most part with their trophies. So to have a throw in like this here and there, like, hey, it's new, it's theirs. I get it. They've tried to be different in every way possible and talk about how they're different in every way possible. So it's not surprising that they did something different on the trophy.
Yeah. Yep. And real quick, just looking here, maybe we can even talk about this Wednesday then for this road to the Rio Major, whatever they're calling it now. Because looking at the dates, it looks like the European bracket starts on the 22nd. So just in a couple of days.
It's like starting soon.
Okay. That snuck up on me. So yeah, we'll definitely have to get everyone familiar and even myself familiar with how that works then, just to see how all that's working out for the major, because obviously everyone, it's pretty much starting from square one. So enough about the finals. We have now said goodbye to Flashpoint Season 1. It is the first season, the inaugural season of the new league for Counter-Strike. Buzz all around it all year. We talked about them a lot. More about the drama than about the play. I don't know if that's how they want it. Maybe it is. Maybe they don't care. Maybe that's exactly what they wanted. But what was your kind of thoughts now that the season's been wrapped up?
So my thoughts are only going to be focused on the game. Okay, so nothing from a business standpoint. My opinion doesn't matter there. I don't have the knowledge there to know how financially successful this season was for him. So focus purely on the play. Like, you got to say, a relatively big failure from a play standpoint. There's teams that fell to the bottom that they desperately needed to perform well to generate a little bit more hype, right? Like a team like Envy, you can't have Envy finish 11. You need them to perform better. You need that brand. Like Envy is such a iconic brand in Counter Strike. You hope for more success next year as the team, gels and builds, right? So you're expecting more from that team, I think, right off the bat, though. Dignitas, same thing. Like, man, this what a story this would
That
have
one
been.
I think was the one that
killer.
will hurt them the most. Like personally, like they wanted Dignitas. If
For
you
sure,
could use
for
those as a
sure.
marketing, like they wanted to use Dignitas as a marketing tool, and
It was
they
too easy to use them as a marketing tool, right? Like
never
you
got the
had
chance.
everything there in Dignitas to get people excited, and they finished 10th. Like, I mean, not even competitive throughout the year. The Fun Plus Phoenix drama where they had to forfeit during phase one of the tournament. Like that's really embarrassing. Like um it's just embarrassing, right? The Swole Patrol drama that took place during this season, like another stain on the league. You had a team that remained orgless throughout your entirety of your season.
Not
That's unfortunate.
not only did you have a team remain orgless the entire season, now you have some of those players who, by the way, got fifth and sixth. They got decent amount of money for this. Even those players are talking about switching over to Valorant. Like,
Yeah, I mean, because 35,000 in the grand scheme of things, like they're not going to get invited to a ton of stuff being orgless, and so they're going to have to make everything through qualifiers. And as good of a team or as well as they performed here, making it your career through a qualifier circuit is very difficult to make, like, understand what your income level is going to be. You don't
yeah,
know. So if they were to make a switch, like, look, how could anybody blame them? Like, it's embarrassing that they haven't been picked up by now, but it's also one of the toughest times in every industry because of what's going on. So you feel for them. It's just a tough environment to be in. And the last stain for me is, unfortunately, we didn't have, for their sake, two premier teams in the finals. Not again, I don't want to dog on Mad Lions in that way. I feel bad. Like, they're an amazing team. They're the highest ranked team in the league. But like, it would have been nice for, you know, Cloud9 to give themselves to be in the finals versus MIBR. That would have drawn double the numbers in my mind in terms of viewership. This 45,000 probably would have been closer to 100,000 fairly consistently if you had both of those orgs in there. Um, Genji, another one. I thought they would be a little bit higher. They went in pretty hot, I thought, into the beginning of the league, um, but wasn't able to capitalize. So for me, it was just overall the teams that they needed to be at the top to draw more attention to their league, more buy-in into their league. A lot of those teams underperformed. The only one that did was MIBR and Mad Lions, like at least the two of the higher rated teams. I don't think MIBR is the second highest rated team, but two of the higher rated, definitely the biggest name brand in MIBR, making it there. So at least they had one of them in there in that sense from a fan base perspective. If they didn't have MIBR, Tim, and this was, let's just say, a Havu or Chaos or Contact, can you imagine what the numbers would have been? Like,
I
I
mean,
mean, you
you'd
would have
probably
been
been looking
looking
at
at
like
10,000.
20.
Yeah, it would have been very low, very, very low. So the Brazilian fan base, carried the finals in terms of viewership here. So overall, I give it a thumbs down, unfortunately. For the first season. Again, not from business, just for competitive play.
Hmm.
We didn't see the teams we wanted to see there
Yeah, I think
competing
overall
at
for
the end.
me, I agree with a lot of what you said with the teams. Like Dignitas going 10th was like worst case scenario for them. I feel like
Yeah.
I'm not going to say anything about production or things like that because obviously with the coronavirus and having all the teams play online and not being late, like that was a big thing about like, and people forget that like when Flashpoint first came up, it was like that was a big selling point was, hey, everything will be in a studio, LAN, it's going to be legit. And then when they took that away, it kind of just turned into any other CS:GO. Like they weren't able to do a lot of what they wanted to do or sold people on. But I'm not
At
going
that
to
point, it would have been too hard to go against ESL, right? If it's just online play and
yeah.
production is not part of it, ESL is going to dominate in that territory because they have all the best teams.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say anything about that because it's just not fair. Like even like with the finals, right? With the 30-minute tech delay, that's just it is what it is. It is what it is. My issue with this whole thing is that right out the gates, their attitude towards every other outside Flashpoint in the scene, and I'm talking their attitude towards other teams, other players, other talent, other leagues, and even the fan base outside of theirs, was so negative around everything. Like they really took on the moniker of like Flashpoint versus the world, which
But
was
you're talking about Thorin and Monty to a certain extent, right?
yeah.
Or are you talking about Flashpoint as a whole? Like those are
I'm
like
talking
specifically
Thorn and
those two
Flashpoint,
people
but when you
did
have
what you're doing.
yes, but when you have those two being the talking heads, like that's just how people are going to view your league. Like that's
Yeah.
just when
No,
Thorn,
fair enough.
yeah, and like you
But
could
to be specific, like those are the ones
Yes.
that were doing this and
Yeah.
causing a lot of this drama.
of course, and so all that drama surrounding it, and just how even ahead when they were like, oh, well, if you fall out of the top 20, we reserve the right to fine you. And I remember even saying on this show, Anuj, that I don't think that's fair, first off. I don't think it's fair to assume that just because a team's out of the top 20 mean that they're not trying, right?
Yeah.
So I didn't think that was fair, but I also said there's not a chance in hell they're going to fine anyone. That was a publicity stunt to make it seem like they're going to strong arm teams and we're different. Well, what happened? 3/4 of your league is out of the top 20, and you didn't find anyone. So
That was more of just like making it seem like they had more than they had at the time, right? Like,
right,
oh, we're putting this in because we have a bunch of teams, obviously, in the top 20 joining this league, and that was more of a tactic. So I kind of understand where they were coming from, but I also know why they didn't enforce it because they can't.
yeah, and I'm not saying you should enforce it, but I'm just saying is it seemed like there was a lot of times where they would say something and then turn around and just have egg right on their face, right?
Yeah.
Thorin and Monty talk about, oh, we're beating Overwatch League in viewership numbers. Then boom, Don Hassey comes in with a tweet saying, actually, you guys are embedding views and half of your views are fake. I think a lot of the views for today was fake because I saw Faceit also streaming the match. Well, Faceit doesn't stream anymore, but yet they were for a little bit. It had 40,000 views, Anuj. I went into the stream just because I was curious. The Twitch chat was dead. It was just a couple people talking in there. When was the last time you saw a Twitch chat of 40,000 people dead? Never.
It was obviously from the embedded client or whatever.
Yes, exactly. So obviously they were still embedding it somewhere. So, and that's just a kind of a knock on esports in general. Like, don't give me viewership numbers anymore because I don't believe any of them anyways. So I think there was just a lot of negativity floating around Flashpoint. I think as far as like the display of the product, I thought they did as best as they could given the circumstances. But yeah,
the commentating and desk commentating, like commentary and analyst, I thought are fantastic for him.
Yeah.
Like Thorin behind the desk for me is great. Like he's good entertainment behind the desk. I like what he does behind the desk. Controversial, yes, but do you need those types of people? Yes, I think you do. Like I think you need those types of people, whether you love them or you hate them.
Let's be real, because if it weren't for that, we would never bring them up apart from the finals on the
Exactly.
show.
They bring a lot of attention to it. So again, I get what Thorin's doing, and I wish he kind of just did that on the desk, like trash talk the players, like he does teams, owners, whatever. Like he's very open to doing that behind the desk. The tweets are what's getting him in trouble in my mind because they're just hate tweets, right? You're just tweeting with pure hate in every tweet that you have. So then that's how you're now perceived. If he just saves that stuff for the desk and makes it more entertaining, um, wants to bash on people that way, bash on ESL, behind the desk. To me, that's like fun. And hey, I might watch for that reason.
Mhm.
The tweeting makes it looks like you're just somebody that just hates so
Like
many
you're
people.
just so
You're
salty
just a
about it.
negative individual,
Yeah.
and so I see the differences between the two, and I wish we kind of just had like one half of Thorin, the desk Thorin, and not so much like the Twitter Thorin as much. And
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I agree with you. You're right. Like they had negativity. That's a whole nother part of it outside of the games that just brought in so much negative attention. And so, a tough first season.
Yeah. It was a tough.
You get a pass because of what's going on in the world right now. It's a tough first for anybody. If you're doing anything for the first time right now during this time,
It sucks.
it's very difficult.
It sucks.
So we'll give them a pass. We're going to be interested in season 2. I'm going to go back and watch. I'm going to see what it's going to be like on LAN. And hey, maybe Dignitas, they're an older team. Maybe they're a LAN team, and that's where they'll come to life. Maybe Cloud9 will actually become an NA team again. Who knows? Like by then. So, I'm going to be, I'm going to be curious about season 2 and we'll be more intuitive towards production value and things like that as well.
Yeah. And, kind of looking at where the teams kind of come from there too. Cause I don't want to blame the teams and the talent of that team to judge the league on. I don't want to be that guy who is like, well, you guys don't have the top 10 teams, so therefore your league's irrelevant. Because I don't think that's true. But do you feel like the impact of this weighs less? Compared, like, when you're looking at the bigger picture, right? Like Mad Lions beating MIBR in the finals. Does that impact you any differently than, say, winning ESL?
Well, yeah.
Like it means,
again,
just looking at the competition here, what they had.
ESL has all the top teams. Like they have pretty much everybody in the top 25 in their league, right? So like there is a difference between winning the two leagues. Now, I still think this is a highly competitive league. I'm not saying that this is some tier 2 trash league. That's not the case at all. These are some like if these iconic brands within this league become relevant again, this will be an exciting league to watch. If MIBR performs like MIBR of, maybe not of past, but top 10 consistently MIBR, if Cloud9 can figure out how to rebuild that fan base, because right now, I don't think people are just bought into the team or invested emotionally into the team like they once were.
Neither is the
Dignitas. Dignitas, same thing. Like, if they can perform well, people would love to follow that team. And then again, I'm going to mention them again, Envy. If Envy can become relevant, that's huge for this league, because that's a brand that people like. That's a brand that people follow. That's a brand that's known by majority of CS fans because of what they were able to accomplish in the French scene. So if some of these teams can elevate themselves for season 2, and maybe they get an extra team here or there that we don't know about yet, then it can be a very compelling season 2. If these teams stay the way they are, then I think it'll be once again an average season that we're not incredibly amped up about. So they have some time, obviously, can kind of get it sorted out, and obviously, hopefully, we're back in the office at that point, and we see the production side being top notch. Like all of that could help them for season 2.
Yeah, so overall, a very lackluster season that led to a very exciting map 3 in the finals. That's
what would be your overall grade, school grade for him?
School grade?
Yeah.
C plus.
Hey, we're on the same page. Okay.
Yeah,
We're
I'm
good
gonna say
teachers,
a C
Tim.
plus.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. C plus.
You passed. You passed. You're not
Yeah.
on any honor roll, but you passed.
Yeah.
So that's what I would give them as a C plus overall for the season there. So either way, yeah, like Anuj said, looking forward to see what happens with season 2, and again, I think this will be completely different in studio because that's what that's what the pitch was about. So
They touted winning the talent competition there. So
there you go. They got the talent. So there you have it. Let's get into some e-news, though, real quick here. Got a little bit to get to here. CSGO, we see some changes coming to Vertigo. Do you know them off the top of your head?
yeah, I mean, there was actually some pretty big changes the way they redesigned Bombsite B, I believe. They changed the whole platform area and the way that looks. They also changed like the boost spot to be able to like jump through that short window, to like cut across towards the ramp and that in between section over there. They took that out. You need a teammate to help you there now. So there are some actually pretty major changes to the map. I do like that they opened up the bomb site. It's a lot easier to see, a lot easier to visualize like where action's going to take place, and it's easier for them to present setups, I think, to the fans as well. Look, CS is ramping up, Tim. They're doing this the way we hoped that they didn't have to do it, but it was like they were waiting for competition.
Yeah.
And then they were like, okay, update. For years, dormant.
We would
just sitting there like a volcano,
Not
dude.
kidding.
Just
years.
years. Like 2 years of no major update in the game. Really, like no update of significance, right, to the game performance, like anything like that. A couple of gun tweaks here and there, but they were laying dormant. I think over the next like 3 to 6 months, you are going to see major changes within Counter-Strike. Like I really think they're going to overhaul a lot of the game, and coming with Source 2, I would think probably around the time when Valorant launches in the summer, because they're going to need to have a bang at that point, and I think they will. Like
I hear,
it's good. It's going to be good.
I hear Source 2 will actually introduce abilities. So, looking forward
to that grenade launcher.
Yeah. Other news in CS, though, Wendigo still.
Wendigo.
Wendigo. Is that how you say it?
Wendigo.
I always thought it was Wendigo.
Yeah, we'll go with that. Wendigo.
F it. They're not in any league. They still have not received. Reports are that they still have not received their winnings for winning WESG back from over a year ago, and that's looking at $500,000.
And I, forgive me because I can't remember the country that they're from, but I know it's not like in the best shape in general. So this would be like life-changing money to like most people in that country. So whatever the reason is, I hope it gets sorted out for their sake, because that's a lot of money to anybody.
And
but especially
if I'm wrong, WESG, isn't that like a somewhat reputable group?
I mean, they're gonna take some hate for this. Yeah, they are though. You're right. Like
they
it's
do a
not
lot.
like it's not some like Chucky organization running the show over there. So surprising, a year no payment. Like it's a bad look, whatever the reasoning is.
Yeah. In Overwatch, a big ban wave happened with Overwatch banning over 5,000 players. The crazy takeaway from this, Anuj, is of that 5,000 and some change, 100 of them belonged in Korea's top 500 ladder.
I thought that was going to be your yikes, honestly. I really did. I was like, that's going to be his yikes when I saw that news earlier this week. That's incredible. That's an incredible stat. First of all, great job, Overwatch, banning 5,000 people. Love it. You love to see it. Love to see all that hate get out of the game. 100 out of the top 500, 1 in 5 players at your diamond level, like
in a game that has 12 playing in one match. So you have 2 hackers in every match.
That really is incredible. Like that's a lot. That's embarrassing for the Korean scene, though.
I mean,
they got caught.
Yeah, it just goes to show that I think in any game, when you're like, is that person hacking? Like that looked suspicious. I mean, it's starting to be like maybe, like, you're not always crazy when someone's hacking.
Look, regardless of how intrusive Riot's Vanguard system is, If something looks sketchy, I'm still calling hacks when it happens.
Of course.
Doesn't matter how good it is.
Of course.
They could have never caught a cheater. Still gonna call hacks if it looks fishy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. League of Legends, we had the spring splits for both LEC and LCS happen this morning. G2 ended up sweeping Fnatic. I know a lot of our listeners are Fnatic fans, and they were talking in the Discord. So that was enjoying seeing their hopes and dreams get ripped out of their souls as G2 completely embarrassed them.
G2's not used to G2's used to being on the other side of this. They're the ones used to being swept. So
they fall all the way through the losers bracket. If you recall, they lost in the semis to Mad Lions. So exciting seeing there, though. That was cool. And then the LCS spring split, a little bittersweet here. I'm a little jaded because we were going to be at this event. This was the event that was in our backyard in Nuge. It was going to be both of ours first League of Legends event to go to, because obviously we don't cover it a whole lot on the show, and quite frankly, it doesn't roll up in our neck of the woods very often.
Yeah.
Let alone NA, but Texas, right? And Cloud9 ended up winning.
That's pretty devastating for you, because you would have been rocking. You would have been having a good time over there. I already know that, and obviously
sucks.
great for them. They finished off 17-1 at the split. Amazing start for them. Look, hopefully it comes back. Hopefully we get a chance to see it again, because I really was excited to go to. I was just excited to see how they put it together, see that fan base. Like, each fan base in esports is different in their own way. So, I was just excited for the experience. So really is a bummer, a little bittersweet just talking about it now.
Yeah, because Jack would have been there, been able to talk to him. It would have been a good weekend. But nonetheless, congratulations to Cloud9. An insane season that they had, going 17-1, I believe, was their final record. So
yeah,
absolutely nuts. And in Valorant news, Team Hiko won the T1 Valorant Invitational. That's, of course, including Brax, AZK, Ska, Nothing, the same team that's been dominating everything.
You think these guys come out of retirement, esports retirement, to play? Nothing.
So that was going to be a clutch or kick last episode, and I didn't do it because I feel like we've had it before. I think, Hiko, I don't think is retired. I just don't think he's on a team for CS, right?
Yeah.
AZK has already signed, and so has Brax.
Correct.
With T1. Nothing. I don't think so. I don't think so.
You think they just stay streamers at this point?
Yeah, they might touch on it for maybe, they might dabble. They might have a conversation here and there. But
if they sign with the team, it's going to be with T1. So it's not like you can just dabble.
If they sign, this is the team.
Point.
This is the team right here.
They should do it. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't, because all they're going to do is stream this game.
Yeah,
it's pretty
and they
obvious
have fun doing
they're addicted.
The issue is that when it comes to the grind, right? Like right now, they're all having fun because it's just chilling and stuff. Like, I think that's the thing with Ska and I call him Ska because we're best friends. We talk to each other. Remember, we asked him if he wanted a liner, and he said no. That was where the friendship really blossomed. I felt the apex of our friendship. The grind got to him, though. The traveling and the practice schedule. And, it's like, it's all fun and games now winning these invitationals. But when you start losing, and then the critics come into play, and then we talk about you. And that's where it's like, I had, 4,000 people watching me on stream. I was good. I was comfortable. I don't want to go back to the grind. And I wouldn't blame them.
I want to throw it out there. I think both of them come back out. I think both
and Nothing?
of them go. I think they both do, yeah.
Yeah. If they do, I hope it's this team, right?
I really do. For sure. This would be so much fun. Makes it 100 times more fun.
Give me a little Cloud9 action going. It's not with Cloud9, but
hey, T1 is a cool brand.
It is a cool brand.
It's not like I think their merch is cool. I think they are just a cool brand.
I could be a T1 fanboy.
Yeah,
I could be a T1 fanboy.
I agree. I mean, shoot, we're already going to be rooting for them to a certain extent, right? Because we all love Brax. Like, if you don't
everyone
like Brax,
wants to see him
something
do
is
well.
wrong with you. And even AZK, like, people are going to root for these guys. So they've already got a huge following. Imagine adding Ska, Hiko, and Nothing. Lord, have mercy on that fan base.
In other Valorant news here, speaking of their anti-cheat, Riot is outsourcing this, and they're offering up to $100,000 to whomever can crack Vanguard, which of course is their anti-cheat. So
yeah, I mean,
though the scary thing is it's almost like, hey, if you're cracking it, that also means you're getting into like all of our computers. So,
well, not necessarily. They could be cracking it in a way that they can just do like get an aimbot to work,
Yeah.
right, or
we'll see.
a wall hack. I wonder how much, if nobody gets this prize, we know people are making hacks. That
Yeah.
means they're making more than 100,000 is what that means they're making.
Yeah,
selling
right.
their
They're not going
hacks,
to turn
right?
it in
So-
because they want to sell it. So listen here, China and Riot. If you do get into my computer and you do want to see my files, you will be just severely depressed about how much of a boring life I live. Just saying. Like, you're just going to see different variations. You're going to see every version of the TCR logo. That's what you're going to see.
and Pornhub.
That's all you're going to get. And what else? Other news here. We already talked about the ESPN tournament that's going up here. And the last bit of news here for eNews, FaZe Clan receives yet another funding. This time it's going to be $40 million in Series A funding, including the likes of Pitbull, Swally, Yo Gotti. Actually, I've seen Swally in concert like 3 times, inadvertently. Yo Gotti, and then many, many more involved there. But $40 million going to FaZe Clan. That is a lot of coke banks can buy with that.
That's at least another year or 2 of rent on those houses they got.
And when you think about it, that's like half of what they made by scamming a bunch of kids out of money. So
It is crazy though. 40 million, man. These guys know how to do it. Good for FaZe Clan. Like,
again, it's all because I will say it, because they make it look cool.
yeah, that's
why.
a huge part of it, right? Like being part of FaZe Clan.
Not
is
one
a
of these
cool
investors
thing.
did any of their actual background research to make sure if it was like a morally obligated group.
Banks is like the CEO, or like not the CEO. Banks is not like the owner of it. He's like the face from the public perception. But
When your face is a former coke head, Adderall addict, gambling scammer, find literally anyone else to be the face of your org. Anyone else. And, I think Charles Manson is still alive. He would be a better pick than Banks. But that's just me being a hater, I guess, as the kids say.
phase up, Tim. Phase up.
Phase up. Always phase up. All right. That'll do it. It's episode 231 of The Center Ring. Thank you so much for listening. Again, on Wednesday, we will be doing episodes 1 through 4 of the Smash Brothers. It's a documentary on, I believe, Smash Brothers. That's a twist. I don't know. But I believe it's
two brothers
Smash
who like to smash a lot.
Maybe that's what it is, too. Could be.
Check the link before you open it, boys and girls.
So we'll do that. Post the link up on Twitter and on our Discord. So follow us there at The Center Ring. Thank you again to Alt for sponsoring the show. We definitely appreciate it. All the goodies. A lot of listeners have gotten their merch, their 100 Burglars merch. Extremely comfortable. The hoodie is fabulous. We've gotten very kind words. So if you've gotten it, hit us up on Twitter or our Discord. We'd love to see people getting them. I think that's it. That's all I got. So thank you so much for listening, everyone. We will be back Wednesday. Again, homework, Smash Brothers, episode 1 through 4. Don't forget it, because we're talking about it. For Anuj, I'm Tim. We'll see ya.